What's up, everybody? Welcome to Dada Sports. My name is Semi HT. Before we begin, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. We have a lot to talk about in this episode, and if I'm being completely blunt, it's pretty funny, the stuff that we see throughout South Florida that just continues to transcend everything. Regarding Miami Dolphins and their QB situation, regarding the Miami Heat and how lukewarm they are. Right, we have our collegiate sports doing relatively well. Everything so far in South Florida is kind of backwards to what it should be. I'm okay with collegiate sports. I'm not the biggest Canes basketball guru, but they're playing well. We got to talk about them. And then how could we not talk about the Florida Panthers and them getting back on the ice and potentially making a run to get back to the postseason? It's going to be difficult, but we'll talk about more on that in a second. I want to start with the Miami Dolphins and their current QB situation. It's been very interesting, to say the least, regarding it. But last episode I had to cut myself saying and so many times. So I'm going to try to catch myself saying and constantly. I hope you guys can relate to that. It's just like one of those things that I have a pet peeve with other people, and I find myself doing it, like doing the things. But so hopefully you guys relate to that. There you go again. Anyway, John Eric Sullivan had this to say about Tua and his representation. Quote, "We've had conversations with Tua and his representation. Everything's on the table, including the potential of a trade. We don't know which way that's going to go. There's a lot of different factors at play, a lot of conversations being had. Tua, I thought, even though things didn't go well at the end of the year, did some good things along the way. And it's my job to infuse competition into that room along with every other room as we go down the road." Now, end quote. Before, he did mention Quinn Ewers and how he did a solid job at the end of the there it is again. He did a solid job at the end of last year. I agree. I think Quinn Ewers did do a solid job, and I'll talk more about Quinn Ewers in a second. I do want to start off by saying this. There's not a single team in the NFL that's going to want to trade for Tua, even if they have a QB problem. There's not a single team that's going to take that amount. Nobody's going to want him. No one's going to want to trade for Tua. The man is, for one, getting a huge contract that no team in the NFL would have given him except the Miami Dolphins. And on top of that, after the last 2 years, where the year prior he was hurt, and then this year he just stunk, who's going to want the guy? Who's going to want to give up any of their assets to go get him? The answer is nobody. The answer is nobody. And if they do, then the Miami Dolphins should 1,000% be grateful. But remember, if there is a team that really wants him, we have to take that deal, because that would be very different from what we have to do, what I project we're probably going to do, and that's cut Tua Tagovailoa this offseason. Now, pre-June 1st is when we have to cut Tua for $99 million. In my opinion, that's way too much money for one offseason, and we have to put a competent roster on the field. Not like a roster that's going to win playoff games or anything like that, because we haven't done that for 25 years. But a roster that's semi-entertaining, promising, young. We have to get younger and cheaper. I think John Eric Sullivan mentioned that. So no one wants to eat a contract like that. The likelihood is we're going to cut Tua. Don't think we should cut him pre-June 1st. We have to cut him post-June 1st and split it over the next 2 years. I know, everybody's going to probably say, well, we might as well just get the entire thing done now so that next year we have... Let me be very blunt. These next 2 off seasons, we're probably not going to get any blue chip free agents anyway. We're not going to get the flashy ones. John Eric Sullivan said himself, the draft is our lifeblood. Okay, well, if the draft is our lifeblood, then we have a plethora of picks in both the First, in the first round, second round, third round, and all 7 rounds, we have a plethora of picks to have that lifeblood. To have lifeblood, so to speak. So, these next 2 drafts in 2026 and 2027 are the most important drafts for the Miami Dolphins. They are. The Lions became who they became because they drafted well, not because they brought in blue chip free agents. They drafted well, and now they are reaping the benefits of drafting well. Jamison Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, Aiden Hutchinson. All these players that are now really, really good players, they drafted them. Now, down the line, they might have to pay them. But nonetheless, the Lions have had tremendous success and are now a respected organization because of that great draft that they had. The great drafts, plural, that they had. Sullivan also said this about Tua. I want to get this out of the way real quick. I think Tua had some bright moments. I think Tua, if he was standing here today, would tell you that there was some moments he wishes he had back, some decisions he had back. Tua accomplished a lot, or has accomplished a lot of really good things in his time in Miami. I think people that are the Miami Dolphins fans should be proud to have had him here, and we'll see where it goes. I think Tua believes that he can still be a high-level quarterback in this league. I think that's what his desire is to do, Where that happens remains to be seen, whether that's here or elsewhere. I'm not going to lie. I think what we've seen, after we saw what we saw from 2022, that was his peak, and we're done. We're done. I think the injuries have fully caught up to him, and he's just not the same. But Sullivan is saying this just to, have some ambiguity. I think he's done with Tua, personally. He's done with Tua. I'll say this. If we're going to be done with Tua, that's fine. But what we should not do is do what we are apparently thinking about doing, and that's sign Malik Willis. I cannot stress enough how bad of an idea it is to sign Malik Willis here. Number one reason why we shouldn't sign Malik Willis, that is just such a useless Band-Aid over an overarching problem, and that's the entire roster is a problem. Tua Tagovailoa was not the only problem on this roster. It was inconsistent O-line play, inconsistent wide receiver play, inconsistent defensive play minus a couple of players. So we can chalk up Tua as the reason for 2026 or for 2025 being such a down year, but let's be blunt, he was not the biggest problem for all of our games, okay? He just wasn't. Malik Willis comes in, and apparently he's rumored to be making $30 million a year. That is the contract offer that people are going to start at. First of all, in my opinion, the fact that we had Sam Darnold, we could have Sam Darnold, who just won a Super Bowl, but also had a year where he excelled and had 35 touchdowns and 12 interceptions prior to getting that contract in Seattle. The fact that Malik Willis might not have to do any of that, but instead just get that $30 million anyway, just because of the potential he had in the few games that he started, pretty ridiculous to me. But, forget about Malik Willis for a second, because he's going to get that opportunity, and I hope he succeeds. I think he's going to get overpaid a bit, but I hope he succeeds anyway. That is just another thing to add on top of our cap issues that I just don't want. I don't want to have to pay Malik Willis $30 million a year. I don't want that at all. I don't care if it's even a one-year deal. In my opinion, we're wasting our time. The QB for the future is not in this year's draft. It's not in this year's free agency class. It is in the 2027 NFL draft class. That is where we get our QB for the future, because it is quite literally littered with just a ton of QB talent that we could draft and develop and build with the proper situation. This offseason and this year in general is just about weeding out the bad and leaving in the good. Reports come out and say that Devon Achane and Jalen Waddle are going to stay long term. Fine. Cool. I like that. I really like that, actually. Waddle especially. I'm okay with it. I like the fact that we're keeping Waddle. If we want to keep Devon Achane, we got to get that contract extension done in very, very soon. Very, very soon. But I want the QB from next year, who's going to be a rookie QB next year, whether it's Arch Manning, Julian Sayin, whether it's Dante Moore, right? There's a ton of QB. Lenore Sellers, whoever we get, they need to be put in the best position to win, unlike Tua Tagovailoa in his first couple of years. They need that. So, with that being said, this year, my solution to the QB spot, leave it alone. Quinn Ewers, you're the guy for the year. Why in the world are we going to even try to entertain bringing in another QB at that point? Malik Willis isn't the future. I'm sorry. He's the future for maybe somebody else, some other team, maybe the Cardinals. But for us, we are way too dysfunctional. There's way too much going on in this organization cap-wise for us to pay a QB $30 million. So straight up, leave Quinn Ewers in and have him start the year. Whether he is bad, whether he is good, guess what? We're getting a high draft overall pick anyway. Quinn Ewers is not going to be our savior. I doubt he is. And if he's not our savior, good, we get a high draft pick. And if he plays solid, we still might get a high draft pick because the team overall, the roster just is not very good. It just isn't. It's that simple. I know everybody's focusing on the QB, but the truth is that we have to build this entire thing from the inside out. We have to learn from the mistakes that Chris Greer made, and that's draft a QB and have no offensive line around him. No good offensive line. No real weapons for the first couple of years, except for Jalen Waddle. We have to do what we have to do to build inside and then out. We're keeping Devon Achane. We're keeping Waddle. Those can be our weapons for now. Add some solid wide receivers to the draft, maybe. But the focus should be the offensive line and defensive line. Build through the trenches. Learn from what the Miami Hurricanes did. I know NFL and college are different. But the game of football overall is won at the line of scrimmage. Literally look at the Super Bowl. And what happened there. And what a good pass rush and even solid offensive line play can do. We need to build from the inside out. And the offensive line should be a priority. The defensive line should be a priority. We should have their priorities set in the trenches and not with the outside stuff because we've been doing that for so long and it has not worked. It just hasn't. So yeah, I understand Tua Tagovailoa it's a hot commodity to talk about Tua Tagovailoa. I personally think it's a waste of time because he is gone. He is done. He is not going to be a Miami Dolphin. He's not. I thoroughly believe he's going to get cut this year. He's going to get cut this year, and I'm completely okay with that. I am at peace with it. It's a shame it didn't work out. But in summary, I don't want Malik Willis. I don't want us to even think about a QB. We have one in our roster that is serviceable. Have Quinn Ewers start the year. Maybe he's the guy. Maybe he turns out to be really good. Who knows? Maybe he turns out to be the great draft prospect that he once was touted to be. One thing I know, his contract is cheap. It's a 7th round pick. It's a cheap contract. I don't want to go big and get Malik Willis. Quinn Ewers should be the guy starting off 2026. Week 1, we should start Malik. We should start Quinn Ewers. Bottom line. Oh, the Miami Heat, man. The Miami Heat. You know, the Miami Heat didn't really fool me after their 3-game win streak, but I will say that I was very excited heading into Tuesday night's game against the Milwaukee Bucks and the fact that they were without Giannis, and I was actually very excited. And why was I excited was because, well, we have an opportunity to go into this game that's going to be played tonight, by the way, against the 76ers on a 4-game win streak and a chance to get gain some ground on Philly and potentially get out of the play-in. Lo and behold, how could I have been so foolish to think that the Miami Heat, a team that is drenched in mediocrity, would make it easy on themselves? I don't want to discredit the Miami Heat because they did go on a 3-game win streak prior to their loss against the Bucks. But I will say that the fact that this was a situation, we are currently in a situation where we are now, if my memory serves me correctly, if I double check, right now we are a game behind the Magic. We are a game and a half behind the Sixers. And now 3 games behind the Raptors, who are the 5th seed. The likelihood of us catching the Raptors, increasingly unlikely because of the fact that this team just can't seem to string together wins. But nonetheless, the Heat continue to be lukewarm. The Miami lukewarm. That makes no sense. I don't care. And what's funny is that, like, I always get pissed off when I think about the Miami Heat because the front office and Spo in general feels and genuinely thinks that this team in general has an opportunity to make a run in the playoffs. And they'll throw these stats at you, right? Like, oh, we're 2nd in points per game, 5th in defensive rating, right? Defense is so much better. Look how good our rebounding is. Oh, Norman Powell's an all-star. We're getting Tyler Hero back. We were fully healthy in this game. Against the Milwaukee Bucks, who were without Giannis Antetokounmpo. I will reiterate. They were without the Greek Freak, and yet we lost by 11. Check out this fourth quarter. We got outscored. This is hilarious. We got outscored in that fourth quarter, 39-24. We did not hit a field goal for the last 6.5 minutes. The entire second half of the fourth quarter, we didn't get a single bucket. So get this. We were up by 9 with 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I ended up losing by 11 because we couldn't get a bucket to save our lives in the second half of the fourth quarter. How pathetic is that? A team with Norman Powell. A team with Tyler Hero. A team with Bam Adebayo, who I'm going to talk about in a second. How in the world could we possibly be this bad down the stretch? How? I can't fathom it. And what's funny is Powell had 26 points in this game. And ironically enough, in the fourth quarter, he had 9 of them. But he had 1 field goal. And what makes matters worse is that I'm looking at the free throws as well. Miami shot 77%. We missed, look, and not like if we hit all these free throws, we would have won the game. We still would have lost. But we're 21 of 27. 21 of 27. And if I check the last game against the Memphis Grizzlies, the Miami Heat were 25 of 33. So still rough from the free throw line. If I check the game against the Hawks, we were 11 of 14, which is 78%. Why do I say this? Why is free throw shooting becoming such a problem? Why is it becoming such a problem all of a sudden? And now I start to ask myself, well, how are we struggling from the free throw? What could possibly be going on that we're struggling to hit free throws? Well, Bam Adebayo is shooting 77% from the free throw line. We have Norman Powell who's shooting 82% from the free throw line. Andrew Wiggins is at 77%. Jaime Jaquez is at 75%. Ware is at 77%. Mitchell's at 66%. That's not good. Pele Larson, 77%. Drew Smith, 84%. I don't even know if I want to look at Jovic's. 68%, about as bad as I thought it would be. I mean, the only player that gets consistent minutes that's shooting over 90% is Kasper Yakushonis, and he doesn't get to the free throw line very often. We only have like 2 players hitting over 80% of our free throws. And I don't want to make a big deal out of it, but like, bro, these free throws mean, like, we have to hit these free throws. We have to. But let me not get too off topic, because I do want to talk about one thing that's been pissing me off, and that's Bam Adebayo. I don't know if I've been beating a dead horse when it comes to Bam Adebayo. He has quite obviously regressed this year at a level that I didn't even see coming. Offensively, at least, he's still really good. Offensively, he's pretty bad, but defensively, he's still really, really good. We all know this. I saw this stat the other day, and I thought to myself, I'm just going to read it to you guys, because it's one of the most baffling stats I've ever seen. Bam Adebayo is one of the 10 least efficient drivers in terms of field goal percentage in drives. He's shooting currently 43%. 43% from the line. I'm going to read you the names that are on this list with him. Now, to be fair, he's 10th. So he's not like bottom 5 or anything. But I'm going to read you the names on these lists. Malik Monk. Jarris Walker. VJ Edgecombe. LaMelo Ball. Peyton Watson. Dennis Schroeder. Brandon Miller. Derek White. And Paolo Banchero. The last one being Bam Adebayo. All of these guys are wings. And Bam is on this list. The guys I just mentioned play the guard or small forward position. And Paolo Banchero is probably the only exception where he actually plays power forward. But he's more of a wing than he is a power forward, right? 43% as a big on drives is unacceptable. 115 minimum, by the way. So it's not like this skewed stat. There's 115 field goal attempts, minimum. Bam is shooting 43% on him. It's unacceptable. And the fact that the captain of this team has regressed this much offensively is unacceptable. He does not get 10 times the blame he should. He doesn't. But you want to know why he doesn't get the blame? You want to know why? It's because he's not supposed to be. It's because and we all know this, he's not supposed to be the first option. He's supposed to be a second option. And you want to know something? I'm a fool to think that this man would ever get better offensively. Ever. I'm a fool. I'm an absolute fool for thinking he would get better. I'm a fool for it. Furthermore, Bam Adebayo had 11 30-point games in that 2023 NBA season, right? The year we went all the way to the NBA Finals, where he played relatively well in that playoff game, in those playoffs, right? You want to know the amount of times he scored 30 since then? The amount of times he scored 30, it's been 3 seasons, by the way. Almost 3 years, 3 calendar years. He's had only 12. 12 30-point games in 3 years. What are we doing? And I get it. He's had to work with other players like Tyler Hero and now Norman Powell and Jimmy Butler. I get that. Oh my goodness. You're the second option on the team. You're the second option on the team. You were the second option in 2023. So what happened? Why are you not getting everything together? Why is it in the prime of your career you can't become a better scorer? Look, I love Bam as a defender. I do. I love him. But straight up, what is the point of the defense if he can't get any what is the point of the defense being really, really good for him offensively to just be terrible? And that's what he's been. He's been terrible offensively compared to the standards that we hold him to. This is the captain of the team, guys. It's the captain of the team. What are we talking about here? And this has been talked about to death. But when will these bad second halves end? In terms of Milwaukee, it was in the fourth quarter. But, I've heard third quarters so often in my timeline. And when discussing the Miami Heat, it's almost become when is Spo going to fix it? This has been a thing for a long time. When is Spo going to fix it? And I read these stats, and it's pretty crazy. The Miami Heat in the first quarter have the most points in the league per game in the first quarter. And then they're third in the league in the second quarter points. That drops to 16th in the fourth quarter. In the third quarter, rather. In the third quarter, we drop 13 spots. That's insane to me. Is that not insane to you? That in the third quarter, it's that much of a drop-off. How has Spo not fixed this? How deep are we into this season? And we still have the same problems that we've had for 3 years now. When will he fix it is my question. All these things that I have to say, and the bottom line is this, that the goal is still the same. Look, we don't want to make it, we don't want to be in the play-in, fine. We want to give ourselves a chance against the Knicks or the Celtics. We want to give ourselves a chance against them, fine. I don't want to face the Pistons in the first round. I don't want to face the Celtics either. I don't want to face any of these teams. I want to be a top seed. That was the goal at the beginning of the year, to be a top 5 seed. Only for us to stay in the play-in. Tonight is a big game because if we lose tonight, I mean it becomes a more of an uphill battle to get back out of the play-in, man. It becomes more of an uphill battle. And I'm not going to lie, I am not very optimistic because one thing about mediocre teams is that they find a way to lose to bad teams and they find a way to compete against good teams. So I'm scared that we might get it done against the Sixers tonight, get it done against the Rockets on Saturday, and which a game that I will be going to, and then one of the 2 games against the freaking Nets we're going to lose. Team that's trying to tank, by the way. We need the win tonight. We need the win against Houston before we go up against Brooklyn the next 2 nights. We need it. We need it. Oh my goodness. I'm very nervous, to say the least. Tonight's a big game. I'm not excited for the fact that we're in this spot, but I mean, what else is there to really do? What else is there to really do? Get it done. Get out of the play-in, and I guess that would be a successful season. I don't know, man. It's been frustrating being a fan of this team lately. Been frustrating. All right, so there's a lot of South Florida news. There's 3 things that I want to tackle before we wrap up the show. The Panthers back on the ice after the Olympics, after USA. The United States of America brings home gold. Congratulations to Matthew Tkachuk for bringing gold down to South Florida. He's an all-time great Panther. He really is. He's an all-time great Panther, and I could not be prouder. I could not be prouder of Matthew Tkachuk. Ever since that trade, it's just been awesome. It's just been awesome. Shout out to Sam Reinhart, Sam Bennett, and Brad Marchand for bringing home silver. Uh, hey man, at least you guys weren't for second place last year at the Stanley Cup. So, and then I believe there's some other players. Nico Mikkola, Anton Lundell, and then I believe I'm missing somebody else, but those two won bronze for, I believe they play for Finland. I believe they play for Finland. I could be wrong, but, and I'll double check in a second. But congratulations on all those Panthers for bringing home medals. I'm very happy that this happened. And honestly, pretty pretty insane that the Panthers, even in a year where we're injured to hell, we still bring in a ton of hardware back to the Sunshine State. I keep saying and it's bothering me. Anyway, the Panthers, I'll check that out. I'll check where Anton Lundell's from. I think he's from Finland. I could be wrong, but I'm almost positive he's from Finland. The Panthers, on to more important stuff at hand. The Panthers, currently 13th in the Eastern Conference, 8th in the Atlantic. In order to make the playoffs, rather, I got to get my head sorted out after iron deficiency there. In order to catch up to the Bruins, who currently have the last spot. They currently have the last spot in the Eastern Conference. Well, no. The Islanders technically have the last spot in the Eastern Conference, but they're in the Metro, and they're a top 3 seed in the Metro, so they're going to be a lock, barring anything that happens with the Capitals and the Blue Jackets, who are currently in a race to get back to them, to get back up there. Panthers sit at 13th with 61 points, 29-25-3. We've lost 4 out of our last 6, but we have a chance to get back on track in these next couple of games. It starts tonight at home against the Leafs. 25 games remaining. The schedule doesn't get any easier. The competition level in the Eastern Conference and in hockey in general is just top tier. But on top of that, the Florida Panthers have just been a overwhelmingly injured roster and therefore overwhelmingly mid. I mean, the fact that we've had so many injuries and we're even in any sort of playoff race is pretty impressive. But like I said, we're 8 points behind for Boston. We're going to try to catch up to them. It's going to be difficult, but we got to take it one game at a time. We're going to need some help. We're going to need Boston to slip up a bit. We're going to need to get on a bit of a hot streak against some of these teams. It's unlikely, I'll be honest. It's no shame, though, missing the playoffs after, given what has happened this year with Barkov being out for the year, with Matthew Tkachuk missing half the year as well. I keep saying back-to-back Stanley Cups. It's a shame we probably won't get to three-peat given how good some of these other teams are playing. Shout out to the Tampa Bay Lightning, man. They've won 6 straight. They're first in the Eastern Conference pretty comfortably, outside of the Carolina Hurricanes, who are again really good this year. Shout out to the Buffalo Sabres, who have completely turned the franchise around all of a sudden. After years of being really bad, really irrelevant, they're now 4th in the Eastern Conference, 33 points. Yeah, they've bounced back. They're like the laughingstock of the NHL for a long time, but they look like they're going to be comfortably in the playoffs. So yeah, the Florida Panthers have a lot of catching up to do against in the ATL, in the Atlantic Conference. We'll see. We'll see. I doubt we make it. It's going to be an uphill battle, like I said. First of all, we just have to take care of business tonight against Toronto. We have to take care of business tonight against Toronto, straight up. Because we have to win more games than we lose. I know that's a pretty freaking like low tier statement, but like the next 25 games we have to be insanely good if we want a playoff spot. Like we might have to win at the very least like 18 games in our next 25. And the way this team has played with their injuries and such, I just don't see that happening. But we'll see. We will see. We're going to be rooting for them down the line. I'm excited regardless. I'm very excited regardless. I'm just grateful that the Panthers have a winning culture again. And I think next year is going to be the year we get back to the Stanley Cup final again. But I don't know about this year. This year it just seems like we have way too much. We'll see if we can get back on track against the Leafs tonight. Shame we can't go for that three-peat, man. I really wanted that three-peat. Wanted to attend the parade again, but we'll see. Some Canes basketball. We're going to go switch it up to the collegiate side of South Florida. Some Canes basketball. Unfortunately, the Canes lost to Virginia this past Saturday against ranked Virginia. It was only a 3-point loss. And that loss essentially locks us out of winning the ACC regular season. I made such a big fuss about saying and constantly, and I keep saying it. It's something I'm going to have to work on. Got to take some speech classes or something. The Blue Devils had the conference pretty much on lock, aside from the Virginia Cavaliers. The Virginia Cavaliers with that win basically make it a two-team race. They make it a two-team race. Virginia and the Duke Blue Devils will be clashing, I believe, very soon. They will be clashing very soon, but we'll see. Regardless of that, the Miami Hurricanes did, however, end up beating FSU the very next game, bouncing back, avenging our loss. And looking back, the fact that we lost to FSU at home sucks. But we avenged that loss on the road. Shout out to Malik Renaud, and Trey Donaldson. They were great in that game against Florida State. Trey Donaldson finished with 21 points. Malik Renaud finished with 23 points, had 12 rebounds, shot very well from the field. Very good stuff from those two. And Malik Renaud, I mean, I'd be very surprised if he wasn't in the all. He has to be all ACC this year. He's been really, really good, averaging close to 20 points a game in his final year. Just love how he represents the U on the road, by the way. Whenever we win, just raises that U up into the sky. Malik Renaud, true Cane. He's really a true Cane. So the focus now for the Miami Hurricanes becomes the ACC tournament and making sure we have high seeding. So the Hurricanes, these next 3 games are going to be against Boston College, then on the road at SMU. That's going to be a bit difficult. And then finally against Louisville. Now, SMU is currently fighting to stay in the March Madness tournament. So they're going to be a team that's they're going to be very, very spicy that game on the road. That's going to be a difficult game. And then we face Louisville, who was ranked. I don't believe they're ranked anymore. I don't believe they're going to be ranked anymore after their losses, 2 of their last 3 losses against UNC and against SMU. I doubt they're still ranked, but we'll see. They don't have too many crazy big losses either. They face Clemson next, which should be an interesting game. We'll see if they remain ranked, but yeah, these next 3 games will decide where we stand in the ACC tournament. I want to make this very clear. I think Malik Renaud and Trey Donaldson should be all ACC. I also think Jay Lucas should be the coach of the year in the ACC. I think what he's done here in Miami is insane. The fact that we potentially could finish top 3 in the ACC after finishing well below that. Well below that. I believe we finished at the bottom of the ACC. We finished well at the bottom of the ACC last year. 3-17 in conference play. The fact that this year, not only did we jump up a tremendous amount of spots, we're top 3 and could potentially go to that to go on a deep run in the ACC tournament. So we'll see what happens. It's gonna be an interesting. It's gonna be a very interesting last couple of games. But Jay Lucas, shout out to him. He has done some great stuff for us, and I think that he should be the ACC Coach of the Year, bar none. Like, I don't think it's close either. He should be the ACC Coach of the Year. Last thing I want to discuss, it's not so much discuss, but just to shout out some of the Hurricanes that are going to be performing in the NFL Combine, which starts today, actually. It starts today. Shout out to the following players. We got Francis Maui Noah. Let me just read it right here. We got Francis Maui Noah. We got Ruben Bain. We got Carson Beck, CJ Daniels, Markel Bell, Inez Cooper, Akeem the Dream Mesidor, Wesley Bassant, Keontae Scott, and Jacoby Thomas. Shout out to those guys. Hurricanes for life. That 2025 run will be remembered throughout all of history for the Miami Hurricanes. The most fun I've ever had being a Hurricane fan. These guys should all be drafted. I don't think there's a world where they're not drafted. I picture CC Maui Noah and Bain are first-round picks. I think CJ Daniels is going to be a day 2 pick, as well as maybe Carson Beck or Inez Cooper. The rest, I honestly think Keontae Scott should be a day 2 pick, as well as Jacoby Thomas. A little biased there, but I think those two are so good. Hard hitters. And Akeem Mesidor is probably going to be a first-round pick or day 2 pick. So we have a ton of talent, and we utilized it perfectly. Went all the way to the national championship. Next year, though, is a big deal. We got to win the ACC. So Mario Cristobal can joke all he wants to Kirby Smart. By the way, that was really funny. Him joking about Kirby Smart and Carson Beck. That was hilarious. I personally love the jokes, but I will say next year you have to run the table. Next year you have to win the ACC. Next year you have to be bona fide, undefeated heading into the college football playoff. Top 5 seed at the very least. So ranked top 5 at the very least. So we'll see what happens. I'm very excited for this Canes year in terms of football. Very excited for March Madness with basketball as well. Good time to be a student at the University of Miami. I bet those students are having a blast rooting for these teams, man. I haven't even mentioned Canes baseball that has been, ironically enough, really good. So, I can't give you the standings right now. I don't have them in front of me, but they're ranked and they're doing pretty good as well. So we'll see. We will see. That's going to wrap it up for today's show. Like I said, please like, comment, subscribe if you guys enjoyed. Comment down below what you guys think of the Miami Dolphins and their QB situation and the Miami Heat just being a completely lukewarm team, as well as other topics that we talked about today. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Dale.